Hello everyone, I'm Rain, and welcome back to another exciting episode of my Valheim Let's Play series. Before we begin, I wanted to take this time to ask you all what kind of games you'd like to see on the channel, so that way I can get a better idea of the types of games you guys want to see me play. So if there is a game that you have in mind, drop a comment below, and as always, if you like what I do, then please like the video, comment so I know, and if you really like the content, smash that notification bell so you can see the videos right when they drop. Now without further ado, on to part 4. Okay, so first things first, it was brought to my attention in my last video that I don't have a bow yet. So naturally, the first thing I did when I got up, I went and found a tree and started cutting down some wood. And then in true ADHD fashion, I got sidetracked, did some chest organization, and then it was off to find Hugin, who told me that the reason why my character wasn't looking so hot earlier was because she's over encumbered and kinda stressing out. Thanks again, buddy, for pointing out the obvious. And with that being said, it was off to find some boar. After an encounter with a greyling, I found my boar and with it all 8 pieces of leather. And then it was back to the house, where I planted a chest, dropped some items off again, decided that 2 chests weren't enough, and planted a 3rd. I made some food, and then I made some food, and decided that the weather conditions were finally just perfect enough for me to craft my bow. Random side note for new players, weather conditions do not matter to craft bows. After that, it was time to place some torches to shed some light on the subject, and then put a temporary roof over the campfire just so I could lay down and take a nap. Once daylight broke, I tore down the temporary roof and made me some arrows. And then it was off to find the bees. After marking some berries, I lined up the beehive in my sights and took my shot. The queen bee and honey was well worth the poison it took to get it. I could practically hear the buzzing as I made my way back to camp. And after a brief detour to the chest to drop off some gear, I found the perfect spot to place the hive. Once the bees were settled, I grabbed some mushrooms and proceeded to try and tame the boar. I then did what any sensible pet owner would do, and I grabbed some wood and decided to close in their pen a little bit just to give them some more room. Once that was done, I had noticed that the boar still hadn't tamed yet, so I decided to sneak up on him and do it the old-fashioned way and just stay out of sight until they were tamed. The second boar took a little bit longer, but the moment I decided to go back into a crouching position, it too was tamed. After checking on some very happy bees, it was time to grab some boar meat from the chest, cook a couple meals by the fire, and then settle in for a little bit of a nap. One that still didn't have any dreams. I could hear some commotion outside coming from the boar pen, so I decided to go and investigate. After discovering these 2 glitching, I decided to help him out and bring the mushroom closer to the one that was being shoved against the fence. And then it was back to opening up their pen and creating more room for them. Now the purple and blue hearts, those typically mean that they successfully bred, and that there should be another little baby boar. But for some reason, my mind went to Ark, and I thought there was like some sort of incubation time. And it wasn't until I got up here that I found this little guy. And he's so cute. I have no idea how this happened, but I decided to try and get him back in the pen using my old Minecraft method, which is just shove them around until you can get them inside. But before I could get him inside, I needed to make sure that the boar parents didn't escape. So I put the center wall back up, tore down the exterior wall, and shoved the baby piggy back inside. You stay. And then once I tore down the interior wall, I discovered another baby piggy, and this one was a 1-star. After discovering the baby boar, I decided to take that opportunity to go around and repair the entire pen. Once I knew they were all secure, I then decided that now would be a good time to name them. As you can see, I went with Timon and Pumbaa, because I'm a giant Lion King nerd. Taking a look at their pen, I realized it was kind of small. So I decided that it would probably be a good idea to build my usual boar pen. And that's when I found the third. I know that they were glitched into the wall when the whole breeding thing happened, but I could have sworn that we had enough room for them and that they wouldn't spawn at such a far radius. But hopefully building the boar pen will remedy that. This next part, I feel really, really stupid for. I don't know what I was thinking, but I had forgotten that when you have tame boar, they don't just stay around like they do in other types of, like, survival games where you can tame animals. No, I broke down the fence and they took off, but yeah, they will run at the first opportunity that they get to go, I'm assuming, back to the location where they were found. At least that's where I've always noticed they go. I should have just used that fence, but at least I got the baby boar into the pen. That's what counts, right? Right? Oh, who am I kidding? Most of you are going to become my lunch later anyway. Now on to the fence building montage. What are your guys' thoughts on montages like this? Do you like them sped up? Do you like them slowed down? Do you like them exactly the way that I do them? Do you like music? Let me know in the comments so that way then I can kind of try to tailor my videos to your guys' likings. Now that the fence was done, it was time to tear down the boar pen. And replace the singular piece of fence that also got deleted somehow. With everything in place, all that was left to do was just feed the little piggies. And lay down for a nice long nap. And to no one's surprise, still no dreams. The morning of day 9, I collected some honey from the bees, which led to a brief early morning hunting trip. That resulted in no deer trophies either. Like, what is going on? It's like the game is just doing everything it can to make sure that I can't do anything. Moving on. A little later in the morning, I decided to craft your mother. And then I spoke to Hugin, who informed me that she's the perfect complement to the hammer. And it was time to start leveling the ground outside of the house. Since I was already leveling everything anyway, I figured I'd go into the boar pen and kind of make it look a little bit more like an actual pig pen. I might have went a little overboard. But the little orphans seemed happy, so it was off to try and find their parents. The first boar I encountered had me a little nervous that they had went from tamed back to wild. I don't even know if that's a thing or not, but it had me nervous about it regardless. But after a brief jog a little ways up the hill, I managed to locate not one, but both of them at the same time. With no time to waste, I boxed them in as quickly as I possibly could. I'm really hoping that this keeps them safe for right now. As I was running back down the hill, I realized I'm probably gonna need some help to get them all the way back to the pen. With the evening rapidly approaching, I decided to go out and replace some of the materials that I had used to build the boar pen, taking down the occasional grayling along the way as well. Eventually my wood chopping led me to the coast, where I had Raina sit down and enjoy the sunset. Until another little gremlin came along and reminded me that it's safer to be inside at night. So I was back to the house to make some dinner, and off to bed. where Reina had her first dream. Look at it! It's so beautiful! I'm sorry, I really like the dreams. I think it adds like this nice little element to it that reminds you, hey, there's people in Midgard that actually miss your character, and your character has these like memories and stuff like that, and it's just like a little glimpse into what their life was like when they were still living. I'm not gonna lie to you guys though, I was a little nervous that I was gonna have one of those playthroughs where you don't get any dreams at all. I found a couple Reddit forums in the past where some people would go through most, if not the entire game, only to find that dreams are actually a thing on their next playthrough. So far as I know of, that was one of those like early day bugs, and it's been patched since then, because you're not supposed to have dreams every single night. But I think that might be a topic that we can explore a little bit later on. And on that note, I think this is a good spot to leave off on. We managed to craft a bow, get our first beehive going, make some baby piggies accidental orphans while building them a pen, and had our first dream. Overall, I feel like we accomplished a lot. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, you know the drill. Let me know in the comments what you think of our progress so far, or if you have any tips that you'd like to see me go over for the fledgling Vikings out there. And if you don't want to miss the next adventure, make sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell. And until then, keep your wits sharp and your axes sharper. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll see you in the next one. After yet another dreamless night, I decided to wake up.
I decided to wake up. You better leave that in there. She decided to wake up.
I could hear some commotion outside coming from the boar pen,